Molly, you're all set.
Great, thank you so much. Good morning and welcome everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 9:04. And Stephanie, would you please take attendance?
Yes, good morning, everyone. Ava Bermuda Zimmerman has not joined us yet. Eva Canada will not be joining us today. Adrian Cochran. She hasn't joined us. Sheila Hummel.
Present. Good morning.
Good morning. Molly Weston Williamson.
Present.
Kristen Zartman.
Present.
And I just let Adrian in. Good morning, Adrian. Just doing roll call. Good morning, Ava.
Good morning.
Good morning, Adrian.
All right. Good morning. Trouble this morning. Thank you.
All right, we have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Stephanie, and thank you everybody who joined us. Just to take a moment to acknowledge if we have one member of the public joining us today. Thank you for being with us this morning. Next on our agenda is to review and approve the April 18th minutes. Is there a motion to approve the April minutes?
Motion to approve the April minutes.
Thank you, Sheila.
You're welcome.
Is there any discussion on the April minutes? Okay. Is there a second to approve the April minutes?
I'll second.
Thank you, Adrienne. All in favor of approving the April minutes, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I
Any
need to abstain. Sorry, I wasn't present.
so let's do abstentions first and then oppose, because I suspect we have no opposed. We may have a lot of abstentions. Any abstentions from approving the April minutes?
This is Justin. I abstain.
Thank you,
I
Justin.
think I have to abstain as well. I think I do. Do I? How do I confirm that?
It should say at the top of the minutes, right?
I'm just going back in my email.
You were. It says you were present.
Okay, then there was the one before. Okay, I approve. I'm a yes vote.
Thank you. Any other abstentions? Any opposed? I think we ended up at the ayes have it, even with the abstentions. Thank you so much, everybody. And thank you for everyone for being fastidious about which meetings we were and were not at. It is hard to keep track sometimes. And with that, I will throw it over to Jessica for the outreach and engagement updates.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. All right. All right. So today, because it's been a while since I did an update on analytics, I thought that would be an interesting thing for us to cover, especially because we just had the big quarterly update last week at the board meeting. So I wanted to share some different information with you. So this first slide is our Google Analytics. Top chart is overall sessions and bottom chart is overall unique users. And I just looked back at the previous 6-month snapshot, so November through April. You can see that we had spikes in both metrics in January and April, which is consistent with what we have seen, with that being the end of the grace period for Q4 and Q1. So we tend to see a bit more activity to the website as people come to make their contributions. And it's an average of 2.3 sessions per user. In terms of Google AdWords, so our paid, sponsored ads when people are searching for different keywords, you can see clicks, impressions, and click-through rate. And you can see how, for the most part, there was a pretty steady increase starting in November and then kind of spiking, at least with the click-through rate at 60% in March, and then dropping off just a little bit in April. The top 5 keywords that people searched for were CT paid leave, which is great because it shows that our branding is working and people are remembering our name and searching for that. But then I think not surprisingly to any of us, FMLA, FMLA CT, and CT FMLA were also in those top 5. So I think it remains important for us to invest in this avenue, as you know, a lot of people do know specifically what to search for, but some don't, and they're still just, you know, thinking FMLA, and I know there's some way I can get payment, and so we're being successful in getting those folks to our site, which is great. In terms of Facebook and LinkedIn analytics, our Facebook reach has been great. This is the result of us doing a fair amount of investment in paid Facebook campaigns. And LinkedIn, you can see the overall reach is lesser, but that's because it's a much more specific audience with a B2B campaign. However, the creative for both of them, which is the snapshot that you see over there on the right, this was the creative that had the highest click-through on both platforms for the November through April time period, at 2.8% on Facebook and 0.96% on LinkedIn. And this is sort of a combination B2B and B2C, right? Because it kind of shows the individuals in sort of this like happy baby shower type moment. But then the messaging also talks about keeping your business competitive, helping you keep your good employees. And I've been served this ad a number of times, so I do know that our targeting is working and getting both to the B2B and the B2C communities. Then I just wanted to look at, so that was paid, and then I wanted to look at just our organic, right? And what are people really responding to in terms of what we post organically? And I looked at Facebook because it remains by far our platform that people are most likely to engage with us. So in terms of reach, we had the paid leave spotlight launch, reached over 1,000 individuals when we put that post up. We had Erin on WFSB that reached over 1,400. And then interestingly, a study that I had posted about paid parental leave, some of the different benefits that it provides, reached over 1,300 individuals. And then in terms of clicks, so I wanted to look not only at what's reaching the most people, but also what are people most interested in terms of wanting to click and get more information. By far, the post about our Women's Day event in March at the LOB had 477 clicks, which is, as you can see, almost 10 times greater than the next closest, which was awesome. Excuse me. We had an op-ed that our friend David Sergi wrote about his experience with CT paid leave when his second child was born, that had 57 clicks. And then our post about the milestone of hitting 100,000 benefit recipients had 41 clicks. And then lastly, I wanted to look at TikTok. So we don't do anything organic on TikTok. It's a paid campaign, but I thought it was just interesting to kind of look at the impressions and then the click-through rates. And you can see that our click-throughs really spiked in February, March, and April of this year at over a 1% click-through rate. And interestingly, the top creative were the UGC, the user-generated content videos that you may remember seeing probably in the fall of last year, where we have individuals just talking kind of in their real life, you know, in the cases of the top 2 most best performing ones, 2 women kind of in their real life with their children, and then just talking about how paid leave can be an asset to you if you're having a baby, if you're, you know, trying to get settled into that routine of expanding your family. So we had Anaya over on the left. Her ad had a 2.87 click-through rate in that February to April timeframe when we really saw those spikes, and then Allie with a 3.4%. So I think the takeaway from that is this really sort of authentic, raw, user-generated content is resonating with people. And so to that end, we have tasked our marketing firm, Randa Creative, with developing more of these, and they're going to focus on different aspects. So we have scripts talking about paid leave for mental health, serious mental health conditions, for adoption and foster care, for military families. So look forward to more of those coming soon. They're in the works right now. And then lastly, so I referenced one of our best performing posts as Erin on WFSB, and that was actually from a couple of months ago. And just on Tuesday, Erin was back on WFSB on Great Day, their afternoon segment. She did a fabulous job as always. If we ever lose her, it's going to be to Hollywood. But she did a great job kind of focusing on changes to the law, right? So she did like a recap of what paid leave is, who it's for, how long is it, but then also focused on the changes that were just passed for victims of sexual violence and the pathway for tribal nations to be able to participate in paid leave. And I think that that was another great segment for us to reach out to sort of the general population. So this is on our Facebook page, and it's also linked here if you would like to watch the full segment. And that's it for my presentation today. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much. And for folks who are wondering, Nancy is out today. So are we skipping over the podcast updates? Is that the plan?
She put together some slides, which I am happy to share.
But first we'll let Jessica answer questions as Jessica before Jessica gets to be pretend. Any questions or thoughts for Jessica? I'm excited that the TikTok content is doing so well. Like mom of young kid TikTok is a real thing that is alive and well, and I'm glad to see we're providing some real help to people in that. Any other questions or thoughts for Jessica? Okay, then we want to head on to the podcast updates.
All right, great. Putting on my Nancy hat. And I will try to do justice to her presentation. So just an update on May and June and the topics that we're focused on. So for May, it's Lyme Disease Awareness Month. Obviously really close to home, right, with Lyme disease in Connecticut and the Northeast in general. So Nancy's guest is Dr. Mariah Hinchey, who is a physician and medical director and Lyme disease expert here in Connecticut and Hebron. So she interviewed her, and in terms of further outreach, which I love that Nancy does such a fabulous job with just really saying, okay, I've got this great expert, I have all this information. Now, how can I work with them to really sort of further our outreach and get this to more people? So on our end, we'll be issuing a press release on Lyme disease in order to share information about paid leave, of course, and the podcast. And then the doctor has asked for some infographics that she can provide to her patients as she's, seeing them and treating them for not just Lyme disease, but other chronic illnesses that she sees. And her specialty is pediatric Lyme disease. So we'll make sure that she has plenty of caregiver infographics to share with her patients. Oops, I think I skipped one, sorry. Oh, I did skip one. Sorry, this was the first one. The other focus for May is Maternal Mental Health Awareness Month. And so Nancy had two guests on, full spectrum doulas from Golden Radiance Village, Shannon Knox and Brittany Needham. And she connected with these two folks at the community baby shower that we did about a month or two ago. So great, one outreach event leading to additional outreach. These two ladies have agreed to share the podcast links on their socials and in their newsletter. They also connected us with another event that we are looking into participating at, which is the New Haven Edgewood Block Party in August, so that we can table and provide resources. And they're actually in the process of building out their website. And so they have offered to actually create a page for us on their website where we can share information, which is wonderful. And then switching to June, of course, we have to recognize the dads in June for Father's Day. So again, David Sergey, one of our biggest cheerleaders, is appearing on the podcast to talk about his experience and his family's experience with being in a state without paid leave when their first child was born versus living here. And then Charles Johnson, who I believe is Justin's friend and connected Nancy. And he has a similar story where when, they had their first baby, paid leave was not in existence yet, and then had their second baby and were able to use paid leave. So great way for them to talk about sort of the differences and the real comparison of before this was something that they could take advantage of versus, being able to use it. And we've asked them to share the links on their own socials when that is available. And then lastly, in June's Alzheimer's Awareness Month, so Nancy has a podcast with the communications director from the Alzheimer's Association Connecticut chapter and a gentleman who has early onset Alzheimer's and can no longer work as a result of that. So that's one that Nancy already recorded. Actually, it will be a very powerful episode, and the Alzheimer's Association has agreed to share links on their socials, and will also issue a press release in coordination with that. And then lastly, just a quick snapshot. Nancy's up to over 4,600 total downloads cumulatively. So the podcast continues to grow and she continues to do fabulous work with it. I can try to answer any questions about the podcast, or if I can't, I can take them back to Nancy and then send you her responses.
I see Ava's hand up.
How many from Germany?
I don't have that information handy, unfortunately, but I can certainly check for you.
No urgency, just curious.
Inquiring minds want to know.
You know,
Actually-
it
go
is
ahead.
interesting that, you know, there are just a couple of countries overseas that seem to really like to listen. So
Maybe Nancy just has an international fan base. Like maybe that's what's happening here. I did have one question, which is more general on outreach planning, which is I remember that there was a set last year, there was a set of Pride Month content for June, and there was some podcast stuff, particularly on family definition. Is there already stuff in the works for June around Pride Month, or how are we thinking about that?
yeah, so we're doing a number of actually events around Pride Month. So we are doing, and I might ask Nicole to jump in and help me remember some of them. But I know that we are doing a Norwalk Pride. We're going to be doing, oh my gosh, there's like 2 or 3 of them. Can you help me, Nicole? Do you remember the other ones that we're participating in?
Yeah, we're doing West Hartford Pride too, Norwalk Pride, and I think those were the big 2 actually. Yeah.
And we'll certainly do a lot of social media around Pride Month, definition of family. We will promote, so Nancy had some great podcasts last year, so we'll use this opportunity in Pride Month to elevate those and push them out again as well.
That's great, thank you. I figured there was already a great plan underway, but always good to check in. And also, I mean, I know there's been some good content specifically on adoptive parents, which might also be good to re-up in June of existing content.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. I'll say the other thing, which we didn't include in here, but is definitely an important focus in June, is Juneteenth events. So Nancy is going to be in East Hartford for their celebration. And then the Connecticut Sun, we actually connected, Nicole and I connected with them at one of our other events that we were at, and they, on June 18th, they're sort of doing a Juneteenth celebration before the Connecticut Sun LA Sparks game, and they're doing a resource fair. So we'll be there on site with CHRO. And again, Nicole, you might have to help me. I know there's another organization, but we'll be there for that as well. So we're, you know, as Juneteenth becomes, you know, more prominent with celebrations in the community, we're trying to find ways to connect with that as well.
Yeah, that's in collaboration with, again, Mohegan Sun and, as Jess said, the Commission on Human Rights and Opportunity, as well as the Black Business Alliance Collaborative.
Thank you.
So
I couldn't
there.
remember the third organization.
Nice.
Yeah, and Amber just elevated in the chat that for the paid leave spotlight, she's also working on adoption and bonding, and another for foster care and bonding that will be ready in June. So we'll be issuing probably a release and then social media around those 2. So lots coming.
That's fantastic. And I love hearing that. I feel like every time we come up here, I feel like you've hit every single professional sporting franchise at any level in the entire state of Connecticut, which is amazing. But it's good. It's really covering the full field and keeps you going in every season. Any other questions for Jessica or Nicole?
Oh, I remembered one other Pride thing that we're doing. I knew there was one more. And you reminded me, Molly. So Hartford Yard Goats, they have a Pride night in June, and I think it's June 13th, and we will be there tabling before that event as well.
I think we just have to get to soccer, and then we'll hit the trifecta.
Got to complete the full set. Fantastic. Any other questions for Jessica or Nicole? Then I will throw it over to Maddie for a legitimately exciting legislative update.
Thank you so much, Molly. So I shared slides about our win this year at during the legislative session at the last board meeting. If folks didn't catch those slides, I'm happy to share them with you after this meeting. But just to recap, the legislative session ended last week on May 8th, and our priority bill, Senate Bill 222, now Public Act 24-5. It passed with bipartisan support, which was exciting. So we're now working on implementation of the new changes in the law, which is going to give us a ton of outreach opportunities, I think, over the next few months. So we're kind of doing some planning and, you know, gathering of contact information now to kind of get started on that as soon as we can. So the new law includes a definition of municipality, as I mentioned, as essentially any entity that levies or collects taxes. So this specifically will result in more entities, we think, being covered under the law, since they'll no longer be considered a municipality and have to have their have to collectively bargain to participate. So now we're really focusing on that outreach and making sure that we're, you know, connecting with different groups that represent municipalities or like membership organizations, just to make sure that they're aware of the changes and can kind of help us spread the word to their members or their networks. So far we've met with COST. We've also made outreach to CCM and the Connecticut Association of Municipal Attorneys. Erin, correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm compiling a list of groups that we'll plan to, you know, talk with over the next few weeks. But if anyone has suggestions, I definitely welcome them. We want to make sure that we're, you know, covering all our bases, and, you know, not leaving anyone out. So we're also planning a webinar for June to highlight the changes in the new law. We'll share that really widely with all of our different, you know, contact lists to make sure that everyone, you know, has that information and can tune in. So I'll share that once we have kind of the details confirmed. But
Thanks, Maddie. I wanted to just also highlight one, it's worth celebrating that also like the governor signed it immediately. So like all of this is already happening. Not that there's any expectation that he wouldn't, but like that's also exciting. And I think happened since the board meeting. I think it was later in the day.
Yeah.
So that's worth highlighting. And the other thing just I think is worth noting, in addition to all of the tribal opt-ins and all of that awesome stuff, is the inclusion of the expansion of the safe leave provisions to also cover sexual violence, which is a place where Connecticut was kind of out of step with other states and is now sort of getting back in line. It was really exciting, and I think is really complementary to the very soon to be in law and already passed through the legislature expansions of the sick time law, which will also significantly expand safe leave protection. So I think the combination of those two bills really means that we're seeing a big step up in the level of protections that Connecticut is providing to folks experiencing sexual and domestic violence. And I think that's a really exciting work for the state to really be leading on, and a chance to really move forward a lot of the work that the authority has already been doing.
Thank you. Can I just add too, I forgot. So we mentioned too in these meetings over the last several months, our community education coordinators initiative. I just wanted to share that the RFP for that initiative is live. It just posted it last Monday, I think. And we hosted an information session you know, about the initiative and how to submit a proposal. Yesterday we had about 14 people attend. So that will be open until mid-June. And we're looking forward to moving that forward as well. And we're in the final stages of hiring a grants and contract specialist to join our outreach and engagement team as well. So, and Jess, please add whatever I'm missing there. So.
No, you're not missing anything. Yeah, it's all, and I can't thank Maddie enough. She's really spearheaded this and has, you know, really had everything buttoned up from the get-go. So thank you for all your hard work on it, Maddie.
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Any other questions for Maddie or for Jessica on that or any other topics? Okay. Hearing none, is there any old business anyone would like to raise? Is there any new business anyone would like to raise? Okay. And then with that, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Adrienne. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion of the motion to adjourn? I'm supposed to ask. Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. The ayes have it. The time is 9:28, and we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.